East Stroudsburg University women's basketball head coach Maureen Smith, and Coach, as you go into your 2 games this week against Millersville and Shippensburg, just first take us through where your team's at. You're 15 games into your season at 5-10, 4-7 in the conference, but coming off a win at Mansfield last week and then a loss to Kutztown. Just generally the status of the program at this point.
Well, right now, I mean, it's a little frustrating with the record, and I think our girls recognize that. But we just came off that 4-road swing, and the Mansfield one was a huge one just to kind of position ourselves. We're really trying to get for that, definitely 6 or better in the PSAC to make the PSAC tournament. But talking with them even today, we do realize that with 11 games left, 7 of which are home, that's definitely a positive for us. And we're really trying to find those things to keep our spirits up in the fight. And, I mean, right now we're at 2-1 in the East. And, we're just trying to springboard on that. We know we've been able to beat Millersville, and especially them coming to our place. And they're coming off a loss against Westchester. So hopefully we can catch them, tripping up and, steal one. That's kind of what we're looking to do. And just hopefully we can get the ball rolling. We need something in a row. Would be nice, and hopefully we can just get the chemistry at the right time, which is coming up. With 11 games left, if you can peak and get in the tournament, then at that point everybody's record is 0-0. So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, obviously a key part of the season coming up. As you said, you're into the Eastern Division schedule now. This being your 3rd year at ESU, I think only one school in the conference has had a coaching change in between. So the other schools are familiar with you. You're getting familiar with the other coaches in the league. I'm sure that plays a part too in getting your team ready over the next set of games.
It does. And I mean, especially with the East, I mean, everybody kind of knows we've been scouting each other throughout the season so far. But really it just comes down to, people's having non-injuries and, the chemistry of the team. So playing East, it's a lot different. I think there's a lot more parity in the conference. I think we can be very, very competitive with anybody in our conference. We've shown the ability that we can compete. Now we just got to show that we can, put it to bed and get the W's.
Looking through your roster, and as you said, chemistry is going to be key. You've played 11 players, double-figure minutes average per game. Obviously, not everybody's playing 10-plus every game, but overall, that's kind of how it balances out. That part of your roster. Yeah,
well, I mean, we're trying to find those pieces in the right matchups and trying not to go with our core starters, and we were trying to save them for this aspect, but now they are averaging a little bit more in the minutes department, especially with Ryan, Jess, Andrea, even Faye for that fact. Even the last couple of games, they've had over 30 minutes of production. So, we'll be tightening it up, but I do need to get my youngsters some experience, so when we do get in those situations of foul trouble, that they can go in and feel, hey, we have a little bit of experience, and they're not going the deer in the headlights. We're still very, very young, and, if I don't get those reps for those kids, we're going to need them on the back end.
And it seems like also, as you put together your rotations game to game, you're playing probably more players in the first half than you are the second. That's probably also to save some legs for the second half of games and going down the
stretch. Absolutely. And, and it's kind of interesting, too, because you would think it would work out. We actually play very competitive in the first half and somehow kind of fall short in the second half, which is ironic. But still, at the same time, I would be able to go deeper, too. But I think what ends up happening in the first half is we get in foul trouble. So it kind of forces my hand to go a little deeper than I probably like. But at the same time, they do, the job, and we can get things going. And usually in the second half, though, we get either a slow start or we just let teams kind of get away from us, and now we have to dig ourselves out of the hole, and it just exerts so much energy to try to do that.
As you mentioned, in the women that are playing more minutes on average for you per game, probably your top 4 players, and Jess Martin, Andrea Veers, Ryan Fiesca, Fiona Moise, just how they're forming the core constituency of your team at this point.
And it's a solid core right now. I think they're doing well, but a lot of them, I know Ryan, Jess, and Faye, they've been playing with some injuries. So they're fighting through it, and even Andrea, is battling some injuries as well. So, out of that 4, there's nobody I would say is 100% fresh. But, it is basketball. We all play with injuries. That's part of the game. They understand that too. But at the end of the day, we got to get everybody on the same page. Even out of that core, we still haven't found that consistency where they're bringing, big numbers every night or every game. We get that little bit of roller coaster. Jess will have a good, solid last couple games, but then it dips down, and then Veers will have one, or Ryan, and we need them to collectively put it all together to make a huge impact on the PSAC.
Take us through you're part of the roster, the players that are really contributing for you, and starting the backcourt, the point guard, you kind of split between Ryan Fiaski and Taika Revere, and a shooting guard, Andrew Veers and Barb Worst, where that rotation is with your backcourt.
Yeah, I mean, well, until you said being a freshman, I mean, it's still a little overwhelming, and her getting her feet wet and trying to basically throw her in the deep end, so to speak. And she's done, a fairly decent job. We would like to get even more production if we could, so we don't have to exert that much from Ryan. But Ryan's really kind of stepped up this year and even has contributed more offensively in the points department. So that's exciting. And even with Andrea and Barb, I mean, they complement each other. The problem with them is you never know who's hot. When it's a game when both of them are hot, I mean, I honestly believe it's a game we'll win, just because they have that ability to generate that many points. But right now we just can't seem to find that right combination to get that consistency. We have the ability, but right now we don't have the sustainability.
Small forward Helena Gemmel was a freshman, has played some major minutes for you, and in the last few games, Haley Cintron's been in the lineup as a star.
Yeah, well, Helena's battling a bad ankle sprain, and so that kind of, got her off the court. And Haley did a great job stepping up and filling in, and now we're getting Gemmel back into that rotation. And same thing with Stephanie Cabal, and hopefully we should get her back in the next couple of weeks from her injury as well. But yeah, it's just trying to find that right mix, and it just seems like we get the injuries at the wrong time, and now we're putting another new person in the core, and it just takes a while to get that chemistry and get it going. So we get a lot of hiccups here and there.
In the front court, as we talked at the start of the season, probably your two frontline players, and Jess Martin, last year's freshman of the year, Phil Moise, who really just does everything for you on the floor as far as rebounding at the defensive end and setting screens on the offensive end. And then the couple players behind him, Michelle Boggs has stepped up as a freshman, and Kelsey Murray gave you a good game up at Mansfield.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and they do. And Kelsey gave us a great game, but yet again, it comes down to sustainability. Can you do it every night? And that's what we're missing, that key factor. And in the post, I mean, Jess and Faye are great, but Fayola got in foul trouble in the Kutztown game in the first half. Didn't totally burn us. We were down by 4. Was able to play more in the second half, but still laboring injury, kind of just wasn't the same, in the intensity. But it's nice to be able to get that rotation from Kelsey and Michelle Boggs to come in there. But yeah, we're just trying to find that key element to be able to stay at a constant level, and I'm just trying to find that right combination, and we just haven't gotten it yet.
And Jess Martin's leading you in scoring, rebounding. She ranks in the top 10 of the conference, block shots as well. Just the progression of her game and where she's at this point.
Well, I'm impressed with her progression, and it's always, as a coach, when you have a kid who's the freshman of the year, usually we call it the sophomore curse, and they come out and lay an egg in their sophomore year. Well, I can't really say that for Jess. The conference knows what she's capable of doing. I think they're, pushing her skills too, and she's getting better and progressing. But there's a reason, why she's still leading us in scoring and in rebounds as well. She's really starting to mature. She's only going to get better. Even in the stat line, she's shown that she can develop that three-point shot and that mid-range jumper as well. Just showing she has an arsenal of ways to attack you. And right now, it's just her feeling comfortable and us starting to find her to get her more reps to make them huge impact. But they know we're going to go. She's getting double teamed a lot, and that's why we need other players to step up to release that. So we want to play a little outside in, and then eventually go from inside out. And like I said, we're just still trying to find that balance.
And finally, as you look to your 2 games this week, just give us a taste of Millersville and Shippensburg.
Well, Millersville, I mean, I think both of them are very beatable. And in this conference, it's really any given day. Every time I seem to look on the scores, somebody's upsetting somebody, but then lose to somebody they should be beating. You just can't go figure it out. But at the same time, I feel for us, being that they're home games, and in Millersville, I know with the returners in that core, they already know and have faith that they can beat, Millersville. And if they show up, I mean, you know, it could be anybody's game. It just really, but the Work Twins are doing a real nice job, and they're putting up good numbers. But they're showing inconsistency too. There's games where they're scoring 80 points, and then there's games where they're scoring 50. So it's just, you know, who's shooting well, how they're coming over. You know, they got to come on that road trip. Maybe they're not playing well and as fatigued. There can be so many factors. But like I said, I think the advantage goes to us just being on the home court. And right now, I think we're 3-3. You know, we tend to play a little bit better at home. So hopefully that will be enough to put us over the top.
And as you said, 7 of the last 11 at home as we hit the last 5 weeks of the season. So, Coach, we look forward to the next stretch of games. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks.